Let me ask you something before we go any further. Think about the last time someone looked at you, really looked at you. Not the quick glance across the room, not the distracted half look someone gives you when they're still staring at their phone. I mean a genuine, steady, focused look. The kind where their eyes found yours, and something in the air between you two changed. Something shifted. You felt it in your chest before your brain even had time to process what was happening. Maybe it was a stranger across a crowded room. Maybe it was someone you'd known for years, but had never quite seen in that particular light. Maybe it was someone you loved, in a quiet moment, when everything else fell away, and it was just the two of you, and the silence and those eyes looking straight into yours. Whatever it was, you remember it. You remember it because that kind of eye contact doesn't just pass through you. It lands, it settles, it leaves a mark. Now here's what's fascinating. In that moment, not a single word was spoken. No text, no carefully crafted sentence, no grand declaration, just two sets of eyes meeting across space, and yet something was communicated so clearly, so deeply, that you understood it without any translation required. How is that possible? How can two people look at each other and somehow transmit information, emotional, romantic, psychological information, without using a single word? How can one look tell you that someone is interested in you, or that they're hiding something, or that they're falling in love with you, or that they're afraid, or that they trust you more than they trust anyone else in the room? How can eye contact feel like the most intimate thing two people can share? Sometimes more intimate than touch, sometimes more intimate than words. And why, especially in the context of love and attraction and romantic connection, does eye contact carry so much weight? That's what we're going to explore today, in full, in depth, with no shortcuts. Because eye contact is not a simple thing. It is not just a polite social gesture. It is not just etiquette. Eye contact is one of the most ancient, powerful, biologically embedded, psychologically complex forms of human communication that exists. And when it comes to love, to attraction, to bonding, to intimacy, to the way two people find each other in a world full of noise, it plays a role that most of us have never fully understood. By the time we're done today, you will understand it. You'll understand what's actually happening in your brain and your body when you make eye contact with someone you're attracted to. You'll understand what different types of eye contact communicate and why. You'll understand why some relationships feel electric and others feel flat, and why eye contact has more to do with that than most people realize. You'll understand how to use this knowledge in your own relationships, in your dating life, in the connections you're trying to build and the ones you're trying to deepen. And you'll never look at someone the same way again. Let's begin. The science behind the stare. What happens in your brain when eyes meet? Before we talk about love and attraction and romance, we need to talk about biology. Because the reason eye contact is so powerful is not poetic, or at least it doesn't start out that way. It starts in the most primal parts of your nervous system. It starts in the architecture of your brain, built over hundreds of thousands of years of evolution, shaped by the demands of survival and social connection. Here's what happens when you make eye contact with another person. In the first fraction of a second, we're talking milliseconds, your brain is already working. Before you're consciously aware that someone is looking at you, a structure in your brain called the amygdala fires. The amygdala is your emotional processing center. It's the part of your brain that handles fear, desire, threat detection, and emotional salience. When someone looks directly at you, the amygdala activates almost instantly, faster than your conscious mind can catch up. This is why eye contact can feel startling. This is why unexpected eye contact across a room can make your breath catch. Your amygdala has already reacted by the time your conscious self is still processing what's happening. Now here's where it gets interesting. Researchers at the University of Tampere in Finland conducted a study in which they showed participants photographs of faces with varying gaze directions. Some faces looking directly at the camera, some faces looking away. Brain scans showed clearly that direct gaze, when the face was looking straight at the viewer, triggered significantly stronger amygdala activation than averted gaze. The brain literally responds differently, more intensely, more urgently, to being looked at directly. Why would evolution build us this way? Think about the world our ancestors lived in. A world where threat could come from any direction, where reading another creature's intentions could be the difference between survival and death. The eyes are the most expressive part of the face. They communicate intention. A predator that locks eyes with you is communicating something very different from one that's looking away. A rival human who holds your gaze is communicating dominance or challenge. A potential ally who meets your eyes warmly is offering safety. Reading eyes, reading gaze direction, intensity, duration, expression was a survival skill. And so the brain developed specialized machinery to process it automatically, rapidly, and with emotional weight. But here's what makes this relevant to love. The same neural machinery that once helped us detect threats now processes social connection. The same amygdala activation that made your ancestors alert to danger is what makes you feel that rush when someone attractive looks at you. The hardware was built for survival. We use it for love, and that's just the beginning of the neuroscience. When eye contact happens between two people who feel positively toward each other, when it's warm, mutual, sustained, something else kicks in. The brain begins releasing a cocktail of neurochemicals that are deeply associated with bonding, trust, and attachment. Oxytocin, which is often called the love hormone or bonding hormone, gets released during extended mutual gaze. Oxytocin is the same chemical that floods new mothers when they look into their infant's eyes. It's the same chemical that courses through couples when they feel safe, connected, and loved. Research has shown that mutual eye contact, particularly sustained, warm, voluntary eye contact, triggers oxytocin release in both parties simultaneously. Think about that. Two people look into each other's eyes, and both of their brains begin releasing the chemical of love and bonding at the same time, in response to nothing more than the act of seeing and being seen. Dopamine also plays a role. Dopamine is your brain's reward chemical. It's released in anticipation of pleasure and in response to things your brain categorizes as desirable. When someone you're attracted to makes eye contact with you, dopamine spikes. That rush you feel, that electric, slightly giddy sensation, is dopamine doing its job. Your brain is telling you, this is worth paying attention to. This matters. Pursue this. And then there's serotonin, which modulates mood and contributes to feelings of well-being and calm. In the context of a sustained, comfortable mutual gaze with someone you feel safe with, serotonin helps create that warm, settled feeling, the sense that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Add all of this together and you begin to understand why eye contact is not just communication. It's chemistry, literal chemistry, neurochemistry that shapes how you feel about another person, how safe you feel with them, how attracted you are to them, how bonded you become over time. There's one more piece of the neuroscience that we need to talk about, and it might be the most remarkable. Scientists have identified something called gaze-evoked neural synchrony, which is a complicated way of saying that when two people make eye contact, their brainwaves begin to synchronize. Researchers at Princeton University studied this phenomenon and found that during face-to-face communication, especially when people were making eye contact, the neural activity in the brains of the two participants started to mirror each other. They literally began thinking in a more similar rhythm. This is not metaphor. This is not poetry. This is measurable, observable neurological synchrony. Two separate brains, inside two separate skulls, starting to operate in a more coordinated pattern because their eyes met. Is it any wonder then that eye contact can feel like someone else has gotten inside your head? Is it any wonder that a look from the right person can make you feel known, understood, seen, in a way that no amount of conversation always achieves? Your brains are quite literally syncing up. The language of the eyes. What different kinds of eye contact mean? Not all eye contact is the same, and anyone who has ever been human knows this intuitively, even if they've never put it into words. There's a difference between the look your boss gives you across a conference table and the look a lover gives you across a candlelit restaurant. There's a difference between the look a stranger gives you when you're blocking their path on the sidewalk and the look a friend gives you when they're checking to see if you're really okay. There's a difference between the look that makes your skin crawl and the look that makes your heart open up like a morning flower. Eye contact is not a single thing. It's a whole language with nuance and grammar and vocabulary that we all learn to read, mostly unconsciously, from the time we're infants. Let's break down some of the most important types of eye contact in the context of love and attraction, and decode what each one is actually communicating. The prolonged gaze. In most social situations, eye contact follows an unwritten rhythm. We make eye contact, we look away, we look back. It's a dance of engagement and release that feels natural and comfortable. On average, casual social eye contact lasts somewhere between 3 and 5 seconds before one party looks away. But when someone holds your gaze for longer than that, when they look at you and don't look away, something changes. The prolonged gaze is one of the clearest signals of interest that human beings possess. It says, "I am paying attention to you specifically. Of everything happening around me, you are what I am choosing to focus on." Studies in attraction psychology consistently show that prolonged eye contact is one of the earliest and most reliable indicators of romantic interest. When someone is attracted to you, they look at you more, they look at you for longer, and they look at you with an intensity that brief social glances simply don't have. The duration of eye contact matters because it communicates intentionality. Anyone can make accidental eye contact. Sustained eye contact is a choice. And when someone makes that choice, when they hold your gaze past the point of comfortable social convention, they are communicating interest in the most unambiguous, non-verbal way available to them, the soft gaze. There's a difference between staring and gazing, and your nervous system knows the difference, even when your conscious mind hasn't identified it. Staring is hard. It has a quality of rigidity, of demand, of aggression sometimes. It doesn't blink enough. It doesn't soften. It feels like being pinned rather than being seen. Gazing is different. The soft gaze, the kind associated with warmth, affection, and genuine connection, involves slightly relaxed facial muscles around the eyes, a natural blink rate, and an overall quality of openness rather than intensity. It's the look of someone who is comfortable with you, who isn't trying to dominate or assess or judge, but who simply wants to see you. In romantic contexts, the soft gaze is extraordinarily communicative. It says, "I am comfortable in your presence. I have nothing to prove and nothing to hide. I simply want to look at you because looking at you brings me something I can't quite name." Pay attention to this distinction in your own life. When someone looks at you with a soft gaze, especially in an unguarded moment, especially when they didn't know you were going to notice, that is one of the most sincere forms of affection available without words. The look away and return. This one is subtle but powerful, and it's one of the most common patterns in early romantic interest. It goes like this. Eye contact is made. One person, often the one who feels slightly more vulnerable in that moment, looks away. Then they look back. That return look is everything. That return look says, "I'm not sure if this is safe, but I want it to be. I'm not sure if you feel what I feel, but I'm checking." I'm not sure I'm brave enough to hold your gaze, but I'm not quite ready to let it go either. Psychologists sometimes call this gaze monitoring, the behavior of periodically looking at someone to check their reaction, to see if they're still looking, to gather information about how they feel. In flirtatious or early romantic contexts, the look away and return is almost universal. It's the eye contact equivalent of testing the water temperature before you commit to jumping in. When you see someone do this, especially when they look away with a slight smile, then look back at you, you are watching someone who is interested, but not yet certain. They are drawn to you. They are not yet sure what to do about it. The eye contact that breaks at the mouth. Body language researchers have documented a particular gaze pattern that appears specifically in contexts of romantic or sexual attraction. In neutral social interactions, when someone looks at your face, their gaze tends to stay in the upper region, eyes to forehead, eyes to eyes. But in romantic contexts, gaze patterns change. The eyes begin to dip, down to the mouth, back up to the eyes, down to the mouth again. This triangular gaze pattern is considered one of the clearest non-verbal signals of attraction. The mouth is associated with intimacy, with kissing, with breath, with the vulnerability of speaking honestly. When someone's eyes keep returning to your mouth, they are communicating something specific, something quite clear, even if unspoken. If you want to understand what's happening beneath the surface of a conversation with someone you're drawn to, watch their gaze pattern. The eyes will tell you what the words are too cautious, too polite, or too afraid to say. The gaze of recognition. There's a specific kind of eye contact that happens in established relationships, in friendships that have gone deep, in partnerships that have lasted, in families and in loves that have weathered things together. It's the gaze of recognition. You've seen it, maybe you've shared it. It's the look across a room at a party where your partner catches your eye and you exchange something, a comment, an observation, an entire inside joke, without a single word. It's the look that says, I see exactly what you're seeing right now, and I know what you think about it, and we are the only two people in this room who share this exact perspective. It's the look that says, I know you. Not just the version of you that you show to everyone, but the real you, the one underneath. And I'm still here. And I'm still looking. This kind of eye contact is one of the most profound forms of intimacy that exists in human relationships. It is only possible with time and trust and shared experience. It cannot be manufactured. It cannot be faked. And when you have it with someone, when you share that gaze of recognition, you understand something about the power of being truly seen. Pupil dilation and what your body reveals without permission. Your eyes are communicating things you don't consciously choose to share. And perhaps no aspect of eye communication is more honest or more revealing in romantic contexts than pupil dilation. Your pupils, those dark circles at the center of your eyes, expand and contract based on light conditions. That's the obvious, well-known function. In dim light, pupils dilate to let in more light. In bright light, they constrict. This is basic physiology. But here's what most people don't know. Your pupils also respond to your emotional state. Specifically, they dilate, they grow larger, in response to things your brain and nervous system find interesting, appealing, or desirable. This was first documented in research by psychologist Eckhard Hess in the 1960s. In his experiments, Hess showed participants photographs of various subjects and measured their pupil responses. What he found was remarkable. When people looked at images they found appealing, beautiful landscapes, appealing faces, things that generated positive emotional response, their pupils dilated. When they looked at things they found unpleasant or neutral, pupils either constricted or stayed the same. The critical thing here is that pupil dilation is involuntary. You cannot control it. You cannot fake it. You cannot suppress it through sheer will. Your pupils expand in response to attraction and desire, whether you want them to or not. And the other person's nervous system picks up on this, even if their conscious mind doesn't. Research has shown that people consistently rate faces with dilated pupils as more attractive, more warm, and more trustworthy than the same faces with normal or constricted pupils, even when participants have no idea why they're rating the faces differently. The conscious mind doesn't say, "Oh, their pupils are large," but something deeper, something older, registers the signal. In the context of romantic attraction, this creates a feedback loop that is almost poetic in its design. You look at someone you're attracted to, your pupils dilate. They look into your eyes and their brain registers, below conscious awareness, that your eyes look particularly warm and appealing right now. This triggers a positive emotional response in them. Their pupils dilate. You look into their eyes, and their eyes look particularly warm and appealing, which reinforces your attraction. Two people staring at each other's dilating pupils, neither consciously understanding what they're picking up on, both of them feeling increasingly drawn to each other. This is why candlelit environments have been associated with romance for centuries. In dim light, everyone's pupils are somewhat dilated. In dim light, everyone looks a little more attractive, a little more open, a little more inviting. The romantic atmosphere created by candlelight isn't just about softness or aesthetics, it's about pupil dilation. It's about the non-verbal unconscious signal of openness and interest that dilated pupils communicate. There's another physiological response tied to eye contact and attraction that's worth mentioning: blink rate. On average, humans blink about 15 to 20 times per minute. But when people are experiencing heightened attention, focus or fascination, when they're looking at something or someone that truly holds them, their blink rate decreases. They blink less because blinking means momentarily losing sight of what they're looking at. And when something truly captures your attention, you don't want to look away even for a fraction of a second. Reduced blinking during eye contact is a signal of genuine engagement. It's your nervous system saying, "This matters too much to look away from." The 36 questions and the 2-minute gaze, the experiment that changed how we think about eye contact. In 1997, psychologist Arthur Aron and his colleagues published what became one of the most famous and widely discussed studies in social psychology. They wanted to know, could closeness between strangers be manufactured? The procedure involved pairs of strangers asking each other a series of increasingly personal questions, a set of 36 questions that escalated gradually from light and surface level to deep and vulnerable. After completing the questions, the pairs were then instructed to gaze into each other's eyes for 4 minutes without speaking. The results were extraordinary. Participants reported significantly higher feelings of closeness, connection, and intimacy with their partner than participants in a control group who had simply engaged in small talk. Many participants reported feeling genuinely close, genuinely connected to someone they had met less than an hour ago. And several pairs didn't just feel connected in the moment. In the months following the study, some of the pairs who had gone through the procedure together ended up in real, lasting romantic relationships. One pair got married. The study sparked enormous public interest when it went viral decades later, when the New York Times published an article about it titled, "To Fall in Love with Anyone, Do This." Suddenly, everyone wanted to ask and be asked the 36 questions. Suddenly, people were conducting their own experiments in coffee shops and restaurants, asking strangers increasingly personal questions, and then sitting in silence, staring into each other's eyes. But what does this experiment actually tell us? It tells us several things, but the thing most relevant to our discussion today is this: sustained mutual gaze is a powerful, arguably the most powerful single catalyst for feelings of intimacy and connection between two people. The questions mattered, mutual vulnerability mattered, but the gaze, the 4 minutes of wordless, sustained, mutual eye contact, was what sealed it. Participants consistently identified that portion of the exercise as the most impactful, the most uncomfortable, and the most profound. Why was it uncomfortable? Because sustained eye contact is inherently intimate. It breaks the normal rules of social distance. It asks something of you, a kind of willingness to be seen, to be present, to stay rather than look away. And it delivers something in return, a profound and startling sense of being known. Think about that. We live in a world where people communicate constantly, texts and posts and comments and messages, an endless flood of words, and yet we are frequently starving for the feeling of being truly known. And what this experiment suggests is that one of the fastest routes to that feeling, the feeling of genuine intimacy and connection, is not more words. It's fewer words. It's silence and eyes meeting and two people willing to stay in that discomfort long enough to discover what's on the other side of it. What is on the other side of it? The feeling of being seen. And being seen, truly seen, is one of the deepest human needs there is. Eye contact and attachment, how the eyes learn to love. The story of eye contact and love doesn't begin with romantic relationships. It begins much earlier than that. It begins in the first minutes and hours of human life. When a newborn is placed in their mother's arms for the first time, something remarkable happens. The baby, whose vision is still blurry, who can barely see across the room, focuses on the face that is approximately the right distance away for their new eyes to register. And the mother, overcome with a rush of oxytocin and primal love, looks back. Their eyes meet. That first mutual gaze is not nothing. That first moment of eye contact between parent and infant is the beginning of attachment. It is the original bond. It is the template from which every other intimate relationship will be built. Research in developmental psychology has consistently shown that eye contact between caregivers and infants is crucial for healthy emotional development. Infants who receive consistent, responsive, warm eye contact from their caregivers develop what psychologists call secure attachment, a foundational sense of trust, safety, and belief in the availability of love. They grow into children and eventually adults who find it easier to form close relationships, who are more comfortable with intimacy, who have a stronger baseline sense that they are worth being seen. Infants who are deprived of that eye contact, whose caregivers are consistently distracted, unresponsive or absent, develop what's called insecure attachment. They may become anxious in relationships, constantly seeking reassurance, unable to trust that love will remain. Or they may become avoidant, shutting down their need for closeness to protect themselves from disappointment. This matters for our discussion of romantic love because our attachment patterns, formed in those earliest years through the simple mechanism of eyes meeting and holding, follow us into our adult relationships. The way we relate to eye contact in romantic contexts is not arbitrary. It is, in significant part, a reflection of the emotional education we received in our earliest, most foundational experiences of being looked at or not looked at. Securely attached adults tend to be comfortable with prolonged eye contact in intimate contexts. They can hold a lover's gaze without feeling threatened, without needing to look away to relieve the pressure of being seen. They can be in that vulnerable, open space of mutual gaze and find it nourishing rather than terrifying. Anxiously attached, adults may use eye contact in a somewhat desperate way, seeking it constantly, feeling distressed when it's withheld, interpreting the lack of eye contact as rejection, even when it isn't. Avoidantly attached adults may find sustained, intimate eye contact deeply uncomfortable, not because they don't feel, Often they feel enormously, but because being seen feels dangerous. The eyes are the window to the soul, the saying goes, and for someone who has learned that being truly seen leads to pain, closing those windows feels like self-protection. Understanding your own relationship with eye contact, noticing when you seek it, when you avoid it, what it means to you to look and be looked at, can tell you a great deal about your attachment patterns, about the emotional architecture of your inner life, about the particular ways you love and the particular ways you protect yourself from loving. And in turn, understanding your partner's relationship with eye contact, understanding that someone who struggles to maintain eye contact may not be disinterested, but may simply be carrying the weight of old wounds, can open the door to compassion, to patience, to the slow, careful work of helping someone learn that being seen doesn't have to hurt. When eye contact fails, avoidance, anxiety, and the ways we hide. We've been talking mostly about what eye contact creates and communicates when it works. But it's worth spending serious time on what happens when eye contact doesn't work, when people avoid it, when it feels impossible, when the very idea of sustained mutual gaze produces anxiety rather than connection. Because in the real world of real relationships, eye contact avoidance is just as common as eye contact, and it carries its own complex language of meaning. Social anxiety is one of the most common reasons people struggle with eye contact. For individuals with social anxiety, direct eye contact can feel threatening, exposing, overwhelming. The fear is not simply shyness. It's a much deeper belief that if someone looks at you closely enough, carefully enough, they will see something wrong, something deficient, something that disqualifies you from love or belonging. This is heartbreaking to understand because, of course, the solution to the fear, the thing that would actually disprove the belief, is exactly what feels impossible. Allowing someone to really look at you and discovering that what they see is someone worth seeing. But getting there requires tolerating the terror of exposure first. In romantic relationships, this can create a painful dynamic. One partner craves eye contact, experiences it as connection, as love, as the very substance of intimacy. The other partner struggles with it, looks away not because they feel nothing, but because they feel too much, or because they are afraid of what being truly seen might cost them. The partner who craves the gaze interprets its absence as disinterest, as coldness, as not being loved. The partner who avoids the gaze is often drowning in feeling, but has no language, no capacity to let it show in the way their partner needs. This is one of the more common silent tragedies of romantic relationships. Two people who love each other deeply, separated by a profound difference in their relationship to being seen. Depression also significantly affects eye contact. One of the hallmarks of clinical depression is what researchers call gaze aversion, the tendency to avoid eye contact, to look down, to withdraw the face from the social field. This is partly neurological. Depression affects the social reward circuits in the brain, making social engagement feel not just difficult, but genuinely unrewarding. But it also reflects the internal experience of depression, the sense that you are not worth looking at, that your face tells a story you'd rather not tell, that to make eye contact would be to acknowledge a reality you're trying to survive rather than confront. Partners of people struggling with depression often notice this before they have any other name for what's happening. The eyes go first. The warmth in the gaze fades. The connection through looking diminishes, and the partner left on the outside of that gaze often reports feeling profoundly alone, not because the depressed person has stopped loving them, but because the channel through which they most reliably felt loved has gone quiet. It's also worth discussing lying and eye contact because it's part of the popular mythology and deserves careful examination. The popular belief is that people look away when they're lying, that averted gaze equals deception. This is only partially true, and the reality is more complex. Some people do break eye contact when lying because the cognitive load of constructing a false narrative while simultaneously managing social presentation becomes too much, and gaze drifts as attention goes inward. But other people, particularly skilled or practiced liars, actually maintain unusually strong eye contact precisely because they know the averted gaze myth and are consciously compensating. What researchers have found is more nuanced. It's not the simple presence or absence of eye contact that signals deception, but changes in a person's typical pattern. If someone who normally holds your gaze easily suddenly can't quite meet your eyes on a particular subject, that's more meaningful than the gaze behavior of a stranger. This is one of the reasons eye contact is such a powerful tool in close relationships. Over time, you come to know someone's gaze language deeply and personally. You know what their eyes look like when they're happy, what they look like when they're hurt, what they look like when they're holding something back, what they look like when they're fully present with you. The intimate knowledge of another person's gaze is one of the most specific, irreplaceable things that develops in a long relationship. Knowledge that cannot be transferred, cannot be rebuilt with someone else, and takes years to accumulate. Cultural dimensions of eye contact in love and attraction. Before we go any further, we need to acknowledge something important. Eye contact norms are not universal. What eye contact means, how much is appropriate, in what contexts it's acceptable, all of this varies significantly across cultures. And this has real implications for love and attraction, particularly in a world where relationships increasingly cross cultural lines. In many Western cultures, particularly Northern European and North American cultures, eye contact is associated with honesty, confidence, engagement, and respect. Holding someone's gaze is a sign of paying attention. Looking away, especially during serious conversation, can be interpreted as dishonesty or disinterest. In these cultural contexts, we often teach children to look people in the eye as a matter of character and trustworthiness. But in many East Asian cultures, prolonged direct eye contact, particularly with authority figures or elders, is considered disrespectful or aggressive. Downcast eyes can signal deference and respect rather than dishonesty or disinterest. The meanings are almost exactly reversed. In many Middle Eastern cultures, the norms differ by gender. Prolonged eye contact between men and women who are not in an intimate relationship can be considered inappropriate or suggestive, while same-gender eye contact can be a sign of strong connection and trust. In some indigenous cultures, avoiding direct eye contact is a sign of respect and attentiveness, the belief being that you should listen with your whole self, not just your eyes, and that staring directly at someone can feel aggressive or colonizing. These differences are not merely academic. They have real consequences in cross-cultural romantic relationships, where one partner's sincere expression of respect may look like disinterest or coldness to a partner from a different cultural background, where one person's comfortable, warm eye contact may feel aggressive or inappropriate to someone whose cultural framework encodes it differently. When we talk about eye contact as a language, we have to acknowledge that, like any language, it is not a universal language. It is a language with dialects. And in love, as in every other domain of human communication, fluency requires learning the other person's dialect, not just insisting that everyone speak yours. That said, at a certain level of intimacy, at the level of a truly private, deeply personal relationship, something transcends cultural convention. The specific, individualized gaze language that two people develop together, the private vocabulary of looks that belongs only to them. This is something that exists beyond culture, in the intimate space that love carves out for itself. Every couple, across every culture, develops a gaze vocabulary that is theirs alone, and that vocabulary, however it is shaped, communicates something that is at the core of what it means to love another person. I see you. specifically, individually, no one else. Eye contact as intimacy. The deep dive into why looking is loving. We've been building to this. We've talked about the neuroscience, the psychology, the attachment theory, the cultural context. Now let's talk about what all of it means at the deepest level. Why eye contact in the context of romantic love is not just communication, but intimacy itself. There is a reason we use the phrase, "The eyes are the windows to the soul." It is not mere poetry. It reflects something that human beings have intuited across cultures and centuries. That the eyes, more than any other feature of the face, more than any other aspect of the body, are where we exist as selves. Your face can be arranged into an expression you don't feel. Your words can say things your heart contradicts. Your body language can be coached, managed, performed. But your eyes, in an unguarded moment, in a moment of genuine emotion, when something moves you or frightens you or fills you with joy, your eyes tell a truth that is very hard to conceal. This is why being truly looked at is an act of exposure. It is why genuine eye contact can feel so vulnerable. When someone looks at you, really looks at you, with attention and care and open intention, they are seeing something real. They are getting access to something that most of the time you are managing, controlling, presenting in a particular way. And this is why choosing to look at someone, to really look, to gaze rather than glance, to be genuinely curious about what you see, is one of the most loving things you can do. It says, "I am interested in who you actually are, not just who you're pretending to be. I am willing to see you. I am willing to let you see me. I am not going to look away." In long-term romantic relationships, this quality of seeing, of actually looking at your partner, not just at the role they play in your life, becomes one of the most critical factors in whether a relationship remains alive or slowly empties out. Research by relationship expert Dr. John Gottman has shown that couples who maintain what he calls turning toward behaviors, who remain genuinely curious about each other, who still see each other as interesting, complex individuals rather than furniture in the house of daily life, tend to have far greater relationship satisfaction and longevity than couples who stop truly looking at each other. And what does it mean to stop truly looking? It means the glance, but not the gaze. The physical proximity without the emotional contact. The eyes that skim across the surface of a partner's face without landing anywhere, without really seeing, without communicating. You still fascinate me. I still want to know what you're thinking. I still choose you, not out of habit, but out of active, present, decided desire. The opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is indifference, the absence of seeing. And the first place indifference shows up in a relationship is often in the eyes. This is why the invitation to look at your partner, to really look, to hold their gaze for a few extra seconds, to let your eyes communicate what words get in the way of expressing, is not a small thing. It is one of the most significant acts of relational maintenance available to us. It is a way of saying, again and again, without words, "I still see you. You are still worth seeing. I have not grown blind to you." Practical wisdom: how to use eye contact more intentionally in your love life. Everything we've discussed up to this point has been about understanding. Now let's talk about application. Because knowledge about eye contact, while fascinating, is most valuable when it changes how you actually show up in your relationships. Here are some of the most important practical insights to take with you. Practice sustained eye contact with intention, not agenda. There is a difference between making eye contact to get something, to seem attractive, to manipulate, to perform confidence, and making eye contact to genuinely connect. The first is a technique, the second is a practice. And people can feel the difference, even if they can't articulate it. When you're with someone you care about, practice simply looking at them, not staring, not performing. Just being genuinely present with them, letting your gaze rest on their face with warmth and interest, not analyzing what you see, just seeing. This is harder than it sounds, because in our distracted world, we have largely lost the habit of giving another person our full, undivided, genuinely curious attention. We look at people while simultaneously thinking about what we want to say next, or what we should be doing instead, or how we're being perceived. True eye contact, the kind that creates intimacy, requires interrupting all of that. It requires, just for this moment, with this person, being here. Learn your own gaze patterns. Do you tend to hold eye contact comfortably, or do you find yourself looking away? In what contexts do you look away most readily? When you're uncomfortable, when you're vulnerable, when you're feeling dishonest, when you're overwhelmed by emotion? Do you look away when you're most affected by someone, using the break-in gaze to protect yourself from being too fully seen? Understanding your own patterns gives you choice. You can decide, when you catch yourself looking away, whether that's genuinely what you want to do, whether you need the relief from exposure, or whether in this moment, with this person, you want to practice the brave act of staying. Understand that eye contact avoidance is not always rejection. If someone you care about struggles with eye contact, if they consistently look away, find it difficult to maintain your gaze, be curious before you're hurt. Ask yourself, what might this mean for them? What's the story behind those averted eyes? Some of the most loving, deeply feeling people in the world struggle with eye contact because they feel things too intensely, not because they feel nothing. Some of the most avoidant gazers are carrying the most feeling, and what looks like coldness is actually overwhelm or fear or a lifelong habit of protecting their interior world, because at some point showing it led to pain. Approach their averted gaze with curiosity and patience. Create an environment in which they feel safe enough to slowly, incrementally, in their own time, learn to let themselves be seen. Because when they do, when someone who has spent years protecting their eyes from yours finally holds your gaze, it will mean more than you can quite prepare for. Make eye contact during difficult conversations. One of the most counterintuitive pieces of relationship advice is this. In the moments when conversation is hardest, when you're disagreeing, when you're hurt, when you're trying to say something true that feels risky, that's when eye contact matters most. It's easy to look at each other when things are good. It's much harder when things are tense, when you're afraid of how your words will land, when you're worried about what you'll see in their face when you say the difficult thing. But maintaining eye contact during difficult conversations does something important. It keeps you in relationship with each other, even when the content of the conversation is straining that relationship. It says, I am still here. I am saying these hard things to you, not at you. I am not disappearing into my own anger or hurt. I am remaining in contact with you even while we go through this. Research confirms that couples who maintain more eye contact during conflict resolution report higher levels of feeling understood and higher levels of relationship satisfaction following the conversation. The gaze doesn't prevent conflict, but it keeps conflict from becoming disconnection. Use the returning gaze as affirmation. When your partner says something to you, something personal, something that took courage to say, something that reveals who they are, the response your eyes give in the moment after they've said it is one of the most important responses you will ever give. That returning gaze, in the vulnerable space right after someone has been honest with you, communicates everything about whether you are safe for them, whether your eyes soften, whether they warm, whether they say without words, "Thank you for telling me that. I'm glad you said it. You did not take a risk for nothing." This is what determines whether they will be honest with you again. You can say all the right words in response and completely undermine them with eyes that are guarded, distracted, or clinical. Conversely, You can say very little and communicate profound acceptance through the simple warmth of the gaze you offer in return. In new relationships, let your eyes speak what feels too early for words. In the beginning stages of romantic connection, there is so much that can't yet be said. Feelings that are real and strong, but that would be terrifying or inappropriate to verbalize this early. Desire that is genuine, but needs time to be expressed. Tenderness that is there, but doesn't yet have permission. Eye contact is the language of this liminal space. It allows you to communicate things that words would make premature or overwhelming. A look held a few seconds longer than necessary says something. A gaze that softens when it finds yours says something. Eyes that find yours across a crowded room and stay there, against the social expectation that they should have looked away by now, say something. Let your eyes be honest when your words need to wait. Let your gaze express the things you're not yet ready to say out loud. And pay attention, with genuine curiosity, without forcing an interpretation, to what someone else's eyes are telling you when their words are still carefully guarded. The gaze of love, a final meditation. We began this conversation with a question. How can two people look at each other and communicate something so profound, so specific, so deeply felt, without using a single word? By now you understand the mechanisms. You understand the neuroscience, the amygdala activation, the oxytocin release, the dopamine surge, the neural synchrony. You understand the psychology, the attachment patterns formed in infancy, the complex emotional meanings encoded in different gaze patterns, the way eye contact avoidance can speak as loudly as eye contact itself. You understand the biology, the involuntary honesty of dilated pupils, the reduced blink rate of genuine fascination, the way the body communicates attraction without the mind's permission or the mouth's cooperation. You understand why eye contact in romantic contexts is not a simple thing. It is an ancient, evolutionarily designed, neurologically rich, psychologically layered, deeply personal form of communication that carries more information, more truth, than most conversations ever manage. But there's something that sits underneath all of the science. Something that the numbers and the studies and the neurological mechanisms point toward, but cannot quite contain. When you love someone, when you truly love them, with the full complicated weight of knowing them and choosing them and wanting them and being afraid for them and proud of them and grateful for them, and they look at you and you look back, and for a moment the whole complicated architecture of your shared life is held in that simple mutual gaze. Something happens that the science can describe but not quite explain. Call it recognition. Call it the particular miracle of being an individual consciousness inside a body in a universe full of other individual consciousnesses. And somehow, finding the eyes of another one and feeling in that wordless looking something like home. We spend so much of our lives talking, explaining ourselves, defending our positions, crafting the right sentences to convey the right impressions. We live inside an endless monologue of self-presentation and self-protection, and we are very often exhausted by it. And then someone looks at us, really looks, with patience and warmth and genuine interest. And for a moment we can stop explaining. For a moment we can just be seen. For a moment, the work of being human in a public, of managing how we appear, of worrying whether we are enough, it quiets. Because someone is looking at us and their eyes say, yes. Yes to exactly this. Yes to exactly you. That is what eye contact carries when it's full of love. That one simple syllable that we spend our whole lives, in one form or another, searching for. Yes, you. Stay. The eyes say it. Not perfectly, not permanently, not without the uncertainty and vulnerability and courage that all real love requires. But they say it. Again and again in the stolen glances across rooms and the sustained gazes in quiet moments and the looks that say everything words are too small to hold. They say, I see you. And being seen, being truly, specifically, warmly seen, is one of the most profound forms of love that exists. So look at the people you love. Not just glances, not just the functional, logistical, visual processing of daily life. Look at them. Let your eyes rest on their face with curiosity and warmth. Let your gaze hold theirs a few extra seconds when the opportunity presents itself. Let your eyes say what your words sometimes can't reach. And when someone looks at you, when someone offers you the gift of their genuine, unhurried, open gaze, let yourself receive it. Let yourself be seen. Because somewhere in that ancient, unspoken, profoundly human exchange of eyes, meeting across space and deciding to stay, that is where love lives. Thank you for spending this time exploring one of the most fascinating and underappreciated dimensions of human connection. We covered a great deal today. We went inside the neuroscience, the amygdala, the oxytocin, the neural synchrony. We explored the psychology, attachment theory, gaze patterns, the Arthur Aaron experiment that literally brought strangers to love. We talked about the biology of attraction, about the involuntary honesty of dilated pupils and the cultural complexity of gaze norms. We talked about what happens when eye contact fails, what avoidance communicates, and what it means to be with someone who struggles to let themselves be seen. And we talked about love, about the gaze of recognition, about the specific, irreplaceable, deeply intimate experience of looking at someone and being looked at in return, and feeling, in that wordless exchange, more understood than all the words in the world could manage. If you take nothing else from today, take this. Look with more care, more warmth, more genuine curiosity. Look at the people you love and let them see that you're looking, not because you want something, but because they are worth looking at, and let yourself be seen. That is where all the real love is,